our beloved patron, Professor Adiba Kamaruzaman, representatives of Talent Corp and UKEC, esteemed speakers, as well as our fellow Malaysian medics.
On behalf of Malaysian Medics International, welcome to our inaugural Medicine in Malaysia Conference 2014. His name is Jonathan Lee.
And her name is Elena Ong. And it is our pleasure to be your MCs for this weekend.
We are here this morning because medicine in Malaysia is in more ways than one important to each of us. We have worked hard to ensure that the content of this conference reflects the current medical climate in Malaysia.
That being said, we are truly blessed to have a panel of speakers who are key figures in the Malaysian medical scene, who have graciously agreed to share their knowledge and experiences with us this weekend. So can we have a round of applause for them, please?
We would also like to acknowledge our partners, Talent Corp and UKEC, for much of our organising efforts have been made successful through them. Can we also have a round of applause for them, please?
It is truly really encouraging to see so many of you here today, as it clearly reflects how much all of us, we as medical students, care about the direction our Malaysian healthcare system is taking. With us today, we have participants from 41 universities spread over a total of 8 different countries. Amazing, isn't it, Elle?
Amazing indeed, John. Apart from hoping to facilitate a great weekend of meaningful learning and fellowship for all, our community looks forward to interacting with each and every one of you if possible. And we hope that you will, in return, also seize this opportunity to meet new friends and also future colleagues.
You know how they say that doctors often end up marrying doctors, eh?
Thanks for that resounding laughter. So, I am sure that all of you are very excited to get started. Thus, without further ado, we would like to officiate this conference by inviting our dear patron, Professor Adiba, to give her opening address. Please.
Assalamualaikum and good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good to see so many keen future doctors in the audience. All of you are Malaysians, I assume? Yeah? Everyone, every single one is a Malaysian? Yeah. Okay, great. when Elena, Jonathan, and who else came to see me? Can't remember, sorry. Derek. A few months ago, about 6 months ago? April. To moot this conference, I thought it was a really great idea. Oh, by the way, sorry, Puan Agnes, I'm not very good with salutations. Good morning, and we welcome Puan Agnes representing Talent Corp, whom, as you know, is supporting this conference along with UKEC. Yeah. So they came to see me and said, would UM be able to host this inaugural event? And when they briefed me about the objectives and support that they were receiving from Talent Corp, I said, of course, I think it's a great idea. I guess many of you know the situation with medical education in this country and the situation with future employment for all of you when you graduate. I'm sure it causes a lot of excitement, but it also causes a lot of anxiety. Yeah. It is true that there is going to be an overproduction of medical graduates very, very soon. But I think it is also true that there's still a lot of opportunities for all of you. The issue is, it's the bottleneck from the time you graduate to the time you become specialists. The government is taking steps to address that. We here at is taking the lead in terms of re-looking at the master's program to try and fast-track it. I don't know how many of you are aware of the clinical master's program. Yeah, so you currently, it is stipulated, especially those of you who go out and get, who want to get the government scholarship and want to go through the Ministry of Health route, you have to serve for 2 years after your internship before, and then another 2 years, so 4 years following graduation before you even enter into the master's program, which makes it for a long duration altogether. But we're taking steps to address it by trying to get you to be able to enroll soon after your 2 years of housemanship. We're already starting that here at for graduates to work at PPUM after you graduate, go into PPUM, and then immediately after you finish your housemanship, you tell us what specialty you're interested in. Of course, you go through an interview process and selection process, etc., and then you essentially fast-track into the master's program. And so we want to make this a national thing, which here we at are working on a big national postgraduate curriculum. So there are changes being made, and there are many things being done to address the rather worrying and anxious situation with the oversupply of graduates. From the MMC side, I think you may know that it will get harder to enter into medical school, and in terms of those from the so-called unscheduled system, we also have to resit exams and so forth, which is already happening, but they're going to be tightening the rules for that as well. Other steps that we're taking to reduce the oversupply, this year, fortunately, they've agreed to our request to reduce the total number of intake. So in the past, we've been taking 200 of you into Last year we took 180, and come September we've drastically reduced it to 120. So the competition is going to get stiffer and stiffer to enter, and we're also trying to convince Ministry of Education to allow us to do the Cambridge entrance exam, or at least we're working with Cambridge, the UMET. Some of you must have had to sit the UMET to enter into the UK universities, no? You didn't have to do that? BMET, okay, so it's called BMET, that's right. UMET is what we're working with them, so it's called the University Malaya Assessment. So yeah, the BMET, we have been working with them for the last 2 years to kind of have a Malaysianized, if you like, entrance exam, and for the last 2 years we've piloted it, and we hope to roll it out next year for the next entrance together with interviews, etc. So it's going to get stiffer to enter into medical school, and hopefully with that we also will ensure quality in Malaysia. And I think it's great that some of you are studying overseas, as I did. I think it gives you a different kind of experience, etc. But honestly, after 50 years of Merdeka and near 2020 and developed nation status, to be honest with you, I think we can also train undergraduate medicine as well as the Brits and the Australians, and particularly in terms of the, I'm doing a bit of propaganda here, okay? Particularly in terms of the spectrum of disease. You just have to come to my ward, the infectious disease ward. I was just doing rounds on Thursday. And the spectrum of disease that you see there, you will never, ever see in wherever you're training, in UK or whatever. That's just 2 wards, okay? And the UM students are nodding their heads, but they're also the ones that don't make full use of the types of patients, and it just drives me nuts, right? You're in the ward at the moment. Yeah, tell them what sort of cases. Go stand up and tell them what. So let them just hang on, let them envy you. Introduce yourself.
My name is Adam Koo. I'm a final year medical student in the University of Malaya. So I'm posted to the infectious disease ward at rounds with Prof. Aniva on Thursday. We have a spectrum of infectious diseases in the ward. So we have one ward catered specifically for HIV-related diseases and complications. So we see all those AIDS-defining diseases, opportunity infections, and we also have
Like what, Adam? I'm testing you here too. See if you've seen them. Okay.
CMV retinitis, pneumocystis, carinae, pneumonia, or esophageal candidiasis, and then they get, because of their immunocompromised state, they get shingles and all the other stuff that you see.
And only 3 cryptococcal meningitis, Adam.
Yeah.
Yes.
Meningitis as well.
Yeah.
And also the complications related to the treatments as well.
Such as
AKI due to N4B treatment.
Fanconi syndrome.
Yeah, Fanconi syndrome. So we see that.
What about the non-HIV ward? See, I'm testing you. What about the non-HIV ward? The non-HIV ward, the general ID ward.
We get malaria, dengue, a lot. We have a separate ward for dengue because of the recent outbreak. No, I haven't seen
Okay. Anyway, so there's a huge spectrum of disease, and there is a lot of learning experience, and that's only in 1-2 wards. So I think many of you do come back for your electives here, right? So anyway, back to the purpose of this conference. Sorry, organizers, after my propaganda. Is I think you want to expose yourselves and colleagues to the opportunities that's available back here once you graduate. I also know that it's going to get tougher for you to find positions, particularly in the UK, right, for your training, and that's why we are preparing ourselves in a sense by re-looking at the master's curriculum completely. Actually working with Professor Simon Frostic from the University of Liverpool to do this. But in terms of opportunities, the clinical opportunities, research opportunities, of which I will speak about in a minute after this. And so I think that there is no reason to fear, especially if you do very well, and you will, right? By the fact that you're here on a Saturday to listen to this, although the selection bias, as they say in epidemiology, of people who are committed and interested and wanting to learn more. So I think this is also a fantastic opportunity to, as Elena and Jonathan said, to network and make friends. After all, hopefully all of you will come back and serve the country. Just a little bit of my own personal experience. I went to Melbourne to do my HSC and then did my medicine at Monash At that time it was still 6 years in Melbourne, and then stayed on to do the physician training, and then did my infectious disease training. So all in all, I was away for 15 years. Of course, coming back and forth for Hari Raya and whatever. My decision to come back was, I think, well, partly because JPA paid for me to go there, although that was for my undergraduate degree. They didn't pay for my postgraduate training. So one was to fulfill that, of course, and the other was my mother kept bringing me and saying, when are you coming home? And so I think these are two very important things. But thirdly, I think, to be perfectly frank, you can make a big difference in this country, even by doing a little bit. You know about the ripple effect, don't you? You throw a stone in a lake and that's a big ripple effect. And in this country, it's still possible to do that. To just throw a tiny pebble and make a huge impact in terms of the ripples that you make, because there is so much need. You just pick an area or a niche area that you want to do it well, and you will make a name for yourself, locally or regionally or internationally. Whereas I always joke with my Australian colleagues, with whom I'm still very, very good friends with, they say, why don't you want to come back to Melbourne? Of course, Melbourne's a great city, the most livable city in the world, and I still have a place there. My husband's from Melbourne, actually, he's here now. Two things. One is, of course, family in Malaysia, and I think all of you appreciate that. You want to be with a family, you want to be tanah tumpah darahku kind of, thing. But thirdly, if you're just thinking about career, I think here you can really be a big fish in a small pond. I think I personify that, if I may say so myself. Or you can be a little fish in a big pond in Australia. I mean, in infectious disease and in HIV world in Malaysia, in Australia, I will be one of God knows how many. Whereas here, it's not just about being one of X, but as I said, there are so many need. There's so much need, and you can just pick an area, whether it's infectious disease or cardiology or whatever, or even basic science, translational research. You could, if you do it well, you could really carve yourself a fantastic career. So enough of that, I guess. So once again, I hope that this meeting will inspire you, which is one of the main objectives, right? To excel, but also to come home and contribute to nation building. It's going to be Merdeka soon, right? So, particularly those of you who are enjoying government support overseas, I think it's a big betrayal of the Malaysian taxpayers if you decide to not come home and be selfish and look after yourself and stay in England or Australia or wherever you are. Alright? So that's a warning from me that we will send the JPA people to look for you and drag you back, kicking and screaming. For those of you whom your parents support you well, it's still partly through taxpayers' money. I think you really should ultimately come home, because as I said, quite apart from tanah tumpah darahku and great food and have your parents do your washing, you can really contribute to the healthcare foundations. Okay? All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor, for that very meaningful and witty foreword. So, before Okay, before we move on, I would like to please invite Kwa Zong Wei, our organizing chairperson, to present Professor Adiba with a token of our appreciation.